chosen one and beloved child of mine, before you leave, pause for a moment, because an unusual movement is quietly taking place around your romantic future. Perhaps you have sensed it in sudden moments when your heart becomes still, in the feeling that a connection is drawing near, even though you cannot yet name it, or through dreams and thoughts appearing in unfamiliar ways. You have done nothing to attract attention, nor have you tried to search for or force an encounter. Yet somewhere beyond your sight, someone is beginning to feel restless, because they have just recognized something precious within you. They are not merely noticing your appearance or what you present before others. They are being awakened to the depth, gentleness, and authenticity you have preserved through many difficult seasons. If your heart quietly confirms that these words are touching the place they are meant to reach, say Amen as an expression of peaceful agreement, not to force anything to happen, but to remind yourself that you are ready to receive guidance at the proper time. Since this awareness touched their heart, the familiar calm within them has begun to change. They may continue working, speaking, and living as they normally do. But during moments of silence, the image of someone carrying an energy like yours returns to their mind. Something is causing them to think about the kind of love they once avoided, about a sincere home rather than relationships that exist only on the surface, and about someone capable of understanding even what they have never had the courage to express. They do not yet know how to approach, nor do they fully understand why they have been moved so deeply. But I am helping them look again at former choices, recognize the difference between temporary attraction and a connection capable of nurturing lasting peace. You do not need to run out and search for evidence of who they are. Allow this process to unfold naturally, because what truly belongs to you will not need to be built upon pursuit, anxiety, or emotional games that leave you exhausted, beloved child. What they are discovering within you is not something loud that the world quickly applauds. It is not self-display, the ability to capture everyone's attention, or polished words designed to please a crowd. What touches them is your quiet presence, a quality many people pass by without possessing enough depth to recognize. You can enter a room without competing for attention, yet the calmness within you makes the atmosphere feel lighter. You may not speak often, but when you speak sincerely, others feel seen and respected. You do not need to appear perfect, because the way you carry healed wounds, understood lessons, and unadvertised kindness is precisely what makes you precious. Your future spouse is beginning to recognize that what they have been searching for is not found in glamour, but in someone who can create the feeling of coming home. For many years, this person lived amid constant noise, hurried encounters, and connections that seemed promising, but left emptiness behind when night came. They sat among many people, and still felt that no one truly understood them. They learned to smile in order to avoid deeper questions, learned to appear fine while inwardly exhausted, and sometimes accepted shallow relationships because they feared confronting loneliness. Certain experiences wounded them, but they concealed those wounds so thoroughly that even they began to believe the pain had disappeared. In truth, it was merely covered by busyness, achievement, or conversations that never reached the deepest place within their heart. Recently, however, something within you has passed through those defenses. Your sincerity reminds them that they still long for a pure love. Your peace makes them recognize how long they have lived. Among things that kept their inner world constantly guarded. I want you to understand that the right connection will not require you to continually prove that you are worthy. The right person will not value only your radiant moments. They will also honor the resilience formed during the days when you had to continue alone. They will not call your sensitivity weakness, interpret your silence as emptiness, or exploit the kindness you offer. They will sense that beneath your gentleness is a strength refined through experience, and beneath your calmness are countless moments when you chose not to allow sorrow to make you bitter. This is what attracts and unsettles them, because they may have become accustomed to relationships built upon tension, control, or unstable emotions. When someone encounters a person carrying genuine peace, they must relearn how to love without running away, how to remain without creating games, and how to be honest without using silence as punishment. However, do not use these words to assign the face of any particular person to this role. Not everyone who causes your heart to stir is meant to walk beside you, and not everyone who returns should be permitted to enter your new chapter. I do not want hope to become an excuse for overlooking unhealthy signs. The person being prepared for you will bring clarity rather than keeping you in prolonged confusion. They will demonstrate their intentions through actions, honor their word, respect boundaries, and never require you to sacrifice your dignity in exchange for a small amount of attention. The right love will not be perfect, but it will possess the honesty to repair, the maturity to accept responsibility, and the patience to grow together. Therefore, continue preserving the standards formed through what you have endured. Do not lower what you need merely because you fear that time is passing. What arrives at the proper time will not require you to return to the version of yourself that begged others to choose you. While this person is being awakened to recognize your value, I am also performing important work within you. I am healing the fear that love always ends in abandonment, removing the belief that you must do too much in order to be loved, and teaching you to receive care without immediately becoming suspicious. Your past may have made you so cautious that when something good approaches, you want to run before it has an opportunity to prove its sincerity. You call this self-protection. But sometimes it is only an old wound attempting to keep you inside what is familiar. I am not telling you to open the door to everyone. I am teaching you to distinguish between a wise warning and a reaction produced by former fear. You must remain soft enough to receive what is good, yet strong enough not to accept ambiguity, disrespect, or promises unsupported by action. Do not believe that you must become a perfect version of yourself before you can be loved. The right person is not coming to rescue you from life, and you are not being called to heal every wound on their behalf. You will meet one another in maturity, each person responsible for their own journey, and together build something good through honesty. They may be learning how to express emotions, confront fear of commitment, and leave habits that caused them to choose temporary connections. You are learning not to diminish yourself, not to interpret every silence negatively, and not to treat another person's attention as the only source determining your worth. When both of you are aligned, the meeting will not rest only upon intense emotion, but upon peace deep enough to sustain a lasting journey. Therefore, allow what is unfolding to grow in silence. You do not need to tell everyone about your feelings. Ask each person whether they are the one, or force an immature connection to become a promise. Continue living fully, caring for yourself, completing what has been entrusted to you, and building a life into which love may enter without being required to fill every emptiness. Your future spouse is being moved by who you truly are, not by an image you attempt to create. Therefore, do not change yourself to fit anyone's expectations. Preserve your gentleness without losing your boundaries. Preserve compassion without tolerating what wounds you. And preserve faith without abandoning discernment. I tell you this, not so that you will live inside fantasy, but so that you may prepare for a love more mature than anything you have previously known. Someone is gradually realizing that your presence carries what they have been searching for amid so much noise. Safety in which to be honest, peace in which to be themselves, and a love that does not need to advertise itself in order to transform an entire atmosphere. When the proper time comes, they will not merely sense this from a distance. They will need to approach with clarity and courage. As for you, remain firmly rooted in your dignity. Do not chase, beg, or try to prove yourself. What I am aligning will arrive through visible actions, meaningful words, and a peace that makes you recognize that you do not need to fight in order to be loved. Keep your heart open while keeping your steps discerning, because something sincere is being guided closer to you in a way deeper than you can presently explain. My beloved child, you have never wandered so far that my love could not find you. And even at the very moment when you questioned my presence, I remained here, listening, and gently holding you. I know you have asked more than once whether your prayers were truly heard, whether prolonged silence meant that I had turned away, or whether past mistakes created a distance between us that could never be crossed. There were nights when you stared into the darkness and felt no answer, and your heart began whispering that perhaps you had been forgotten. But truth does not change according to your emotions. Even when you cannot feel me, I am near. Even when you no longer have enough words to pray, I understand what you carry within your heart. Even when disappointment causes you to turn away, I continue calling your name with gentleness. Therefore, receive these words as the answer you have been waiting for. I am real, I care, and you have never moved beyond the reach of my love. What you choose after this moment matters greatly, not because I will punish you if you cannot change immediately, nor because everything will suddenly collapse when you return to your ordinary routine. It matters because a new beginning is opening very gently, and precious beginnings rarely make enough noise to force people to notice. They arrive as a small prompting within the heart, a moment when you suddenly recognize that you no longer want to remain in the same condition, or a desire to return to the peace you have lost. If you hurry past, tomorrow will still come, work will continue, people will still need you, and responsibilities will remain. Outwardly, nothing dramatic may happen. But inwardly, a door that has just opened slightly may gradually close, because you did not give it enough attention to walk through. This is why quiet drifting can sometimes be more dangerous than a major crisis. A crisis causes you to stop, but old habits can carry you away from yourself without your awareness. You do not lose joy in one day. It usually fades through many moments when you tell yourself that you will rest later. You do not abandon a dream in a single instant. You simply continue putting it aside to handle something else until years pass, and you almost forget what you once desired. Neither do you become distant from those you love immediately. That distance forms through meals at which your body is present, but your mind is elsewhere. conversations you hear without truly listening, and occasions when you promise to care more after life becomes less busy. Such losses do not shout, but one day you may look back and recognize the value of what quietly slipped from your hands. I do not want you to awaken too late to the life you have been given. I want you to live with open eyes, aware of what is happening, instead of functioning like a machine among countless obligations. You have become accustomed to awakening and immediately thinking about tasks that must be completed, people who need care, and problems requiring solutions. You pass through the day in tension, and when night comes, you have only enough strength to find something that helps you forget your exhaustion. I understand why you lived this way. There were seasons when you had to be strong, responsibilities that did not allow you to pause for long, and wounds that caused you to become numb in order to continue. But the method that once helped you survive does not have to become the way you live your entire life. You were not created only to complete tasks. You were also created to love, rejoice, rest, create, and recognize beauty in ordinary things. Therefore, I am stopping you with tenderness rather than anger. I do not want to frighten you. I only want to awaken the part within you that has slept for too long. A love that merely watches you become empty without ever speaking would not be complete love. Genuine love knows when to hold you gently, but also when to say clearly that you cannot continue abandoning yourself. I draw near not to control you, but to remind you that you may choose again. I call you home, not because you have become a bad person, but because you are living too far from the peace, authenticity, and purity that belong to you. I want you to return to the ability to recognize what you feel, what you need, and what truly deserves the years still ahead. Remain in this moment a little longer. Do not immediately reach for the next distraction, merely because silence causes you to confront what you have avoided. You do not need to fill every empty space with noise, work, or conversations without depth. Certain answers appear only after you stop forcing yourself to find an immediate solution. Certain wounds begin healing only when you become courageous enough to name them correctly. Certain directions become clear only after you stop following the noise of everyone else. Sit quietly, breathe slowly, and allow yourself to be honest. You may say that you are tired, afraid, or uncertain where to begin again. Such honesty does not disappoint me. On the contrary, it becomes the door through which light enters the place you concealed for too long. You often tell yourself that you will return to what matters when life becomes calmer, but both you and I know that a day completely free from pressure rarely appears by itself. When one task ends, another responsibility begins. When one problem is solved, a new need is already standing at the door. If you continue waiting until everything becomes perfect, you will continually postpone the very peace you need in order to pass through what remains unfinished. Peace is not a reward at the end of a day without difficulty. It is the place where you learn to stand firmly amid what is still incomplete. You do not need to finish everything before permitting yourself to breathe. Neither do you need to solve your entire future before choosing to live fully today. 1 minute of sincere listening can change the way you see the entire day. When your perspective changes, your words also change. You may choose not to react to something that wounds you, refuse a demand exceeding your limits, or spend time with someone beside whom you have not been truly present for a long time. One day lived with awareness can create a new choice, and when preserved, that choice can become a new way of living. Do not underestimate small changes. Every great road begins with one first step, and a restored life often begins with the quiet decision that you will no longer continue abandoning yourself. I am not requiring you to repair your entire life today. I am merely inviting you to recognize what needs to change and take one step suitable for the present moment. It may be resting without guilt, apologizing to someone you unintentionally hurt, seeking help for something you cannot resolve alone, or returning to a healthy dream that has gathered dust. The first step may simply be turning off the noise and spending a few minutes each day listening to your own heart. You do not need to move quickly. You only need to stop walking while asleep. I will not pressure you through fear, but I will patiently remind you that time is precious, and that your presence within your own life cannot be replaced by anyone else. You have given me this moment. Now allow me to show you why I caused you to pause. It is not because you have reached the end of the road, but because a new direction is beginning. I want to restore your ability to experience joy, rekindle hope that has grown dim, and teach you to move forward without continually condemning yourself. You still have time to rebuild what is precious, love more deeply, and live closer to the truth within your heart. You do not need to become perfect before I receive you. You need only stop running from the healing approaching you. Remain, open your heart, and trust that this calling is not a rebuke. It is love stepping forward, speaking, and gently leading you back to the life you were born to truly live. The first thing that moves your future spouse is not your appearance, status, or what you attempt to display, but the rare sincerity that remains within you in a world that often conceals genuine emotions behind many masks. I want you to understand that some people are noticed because they stand out, while others are remembered because of the peace they leave behind. You belong to the second kind. You may not always recognize this value because you have become accustomed to living truthfully, speaking what you believe, and treating others with kindness, even when no one is watching. Yet, to the person being prepared to walk beside you, this honesty is deeply remarkable. They are not attracted to a perfect version you attempt to create. They are moved when they realize that you do not need to perform in order to be loved. You still have worries, moments of insecurity, and days when you want to remain silent, but you do not use these things to manipulate another person's feelings. This authenticity makes them feel both peaceful and unsettled, because it is entirely different from what they have previously known. During private moments of silence, this person may remember many small details about you that you never considered significant. They remember how your voice becomes alive when you speak about something you truly love, how your eyes change when listening to someone who needs understanding, and how you do not attempt to seize the center of attention, yet your presence is still felt. They may remember a simple statement, a smile appearing at the right moment, or the gentleness you offered to someone who could provide you no benefit. These small things continually return to their mind, not as an unhealthy obsession, but as a reminder that they encountered someone possessing qualities they had quietly sought for a long time. I am helping them recognize that safety does not have to be accompanied by boredom, that peace is not the absence of passion, and that healthy love does not need to keep a person continually anxious in order to feel profound. Before you appeared. Along their journey, this person may have believed that love had to be complicated in order to be worth pursuing. They became accustomed to unclear words, inconsistent signals, emotional distance, and relationships that forced them to guess whether they were genuinely valued. They may have confused instability with attraction and believed that continually fighting for attention was evidence of intense emotion. Unresolved stories from the past made them cautious, yet also made them so familiar with unrest that they treated it as normal. Then you appeared as a quiet interruption to every former pattern. You did not need to play games of silence to make them miss you, create distance to test their feelings, or use ambiguity to maintain control. Your clarity and sincerity began causing them to re-examine what they had previously accepted. Your presence places before them a question they can no longer easily avoid. Why did peace once seem so unfamiliar, while being near you makes it appear naturally? They begin to recognize that many former choices were born from wounds that had not healed. They pursued people incapable of providing stability, not because they enjoyed being hurt, but because what is familiar often feels more recognizable than what is healthy. When they encounter you, they do not merely see someone they could love. They see another way of living, a rhythm of connection that does not need to be sustained by anxiety. This moves their emotions deeply, because one part of them longs to draw near, while another part remains unaccustomed to being received without having to fight to prove its worth. Beloved child, this is why they may sometimes become quiet or cautious. Such silence is not necessarily evidence of indifference. Sometimes it is the way a person tries to understand what is happening within. They are not only confronting their feelings for you, but also every former belief they held about love. You cause them to recognize that genuine care does not need to advertise itself. Loyalty does not always need to be declared through grand words. And the feeling of being respected can touch more deeply than any temporary attraction. They begin reviewing relationships that left them exhausted and wondering why they remained for so long. At the same time, they also look at themselves and recognize the occasions when they ran from what was good, because they did not yet know how to receive it. What moves them most deeply is that you are not trying to pretend that you are extraordinary. You simply live according to your true nature. When you are joyful, you know how to appreciate joy. When you are sad, you do not use sadness to punish others. When uncertain, you can admit that you need more time instead of offering promises you do not sincerely mean. You are not always strong, but your vulnerability is not false. You do not always possess the answer, but the way you listen makes others feel seen. In a world where many people attempt to construct flawless images, your honesty carries an attraction that cannot be imitated. Your future spouse gradually recognizes this, first through small details, and then suddenly through a clarity that no longer allows them to regard you as an ordinary encounter. This recognition resembles rain forming within silent clouds. At first, there are only a few passing thoughts, the desire to know how you are doing, or the wish to hear your voice again. Then these emotions gradually deepen. They recognize that you do not merely interest them. You make them want to become more sincere. They begin desiring clearer communication, healing from what once caused them to avoid intimacy, and entering love with responsibility rather than temporary emotion. This is the sign of a mature connection. Your presence does not cause them to lose themselves, but encourages them to return to the best part of who they are. The love I am preparing is not meant to make two people dependent upon one another, but to help both become steadier, freer, and kinder. However, I also want to remind you not to build hope upon imagination alone, or attempt to assign everyone you meet the role of your future spouse. What is truly intended for you will be recognized through consistency, respect, and clear action. Someone may think about you often, but mature affection must be expressed through responsibility. They must possess enough courage to communicate, enough honesty not to make you guess, and enough stability to build a connection with a foundation. You do not need to chase ambiguous signals merely because they sound romantic. I am not leading you into a love that continually causes you to question your worth. I am teaching you to recognize that peace is not only a feeling that appears in another person's presence. It is also demonstrated through the way they honor their word, respect boundaries, and remain present when circumstances are difficult. Therefore, continue being yourself, without attempting to perfect yourself merely so that someone will choose you. Healthy love does not require you to erase your personality, conceal your fears, or always appear strong. The right person will not only love the light within you, they will also possess enough maturity to treat gently the parts that are still healing. At the same time, you must offer them the same patience. Two sincere people may still misunderstand one another, need to learn communication, and grow through differences. What creates a lasting relationship is not perfection, but the willingness of both people to return to truth, repair what they damage, and refuse to use love as a place from which to control one another. If this message touches something deep within you, you may press the like button as a way of marking that you are opening your heart to sincere love. But remember that pressing a button does not determine your future, nor does it cause heaven to love you more. The value of that action exists only in the meaning you voluntarily give it. Let it represent your agreement that you will no longer chase ambiguity, accept relationships that continually exhaust you, or sacrifice peace merely to avoid loneliness. Your true agreement is demonstrated in the way you preserve your dignity, honor truth, and patiently wait for something with a foundation. I am preparing you not only to meet the right person, but also to recognize them with clear eyes. When the time comes, beautiful words or intense feelings alone will not carry you away. You will observe consistency, the way they treat vulnerable people, the way they accept responsibility for mistakes, and the way they respect your freedom. They will also recognize that what makes you special has never been perfection, but the sincerity you preserved after everything you endured. Continue walking in peace, because true love does not require you to become someone else. It will meet you in authenticity, cherish you in maturity, and build with you a journey in which neither person needs to perform, but both may remain peacefully present as their true selves.